Well, thank you very much to South for choosing me to be the profile poet, which is a great honour. And many thanks to Sharon Larkin, my friend and colleague from Cheltenham Poetry Society, who wrote a very nice introduction, a couple of pages, saying how wonderful I am. So I'm going to take the liberty of reading 5 poems, if I may, as I'm the profile poet. 2 of them from the magazine and 3 others. So the first is from the magazine, with a very long title, On Listening to Albania's Granada while sitting in the car in Coed Helen Road, Carnarvon. The way this gentle rain falls on the water, so constant, soothing, soft and slow, matches by chance the sound of the guitar, the raindrops dotting the silvery brown water with momentary bright circles. Like the quiet rhythm of the accompaniment, the delicate occasional arpeggios. And the music that was intended to evoke sunshine and shadows in southern Spain somehow proved perfect for this grey and gloom-laden day, the endless wetness of a Tuesday in Wales, as I sit here, waiting. And so as I notice this association of mood and murk and music, I can forgive the rain, and for all such long-forgotten Tuesdays that yielded small, unanticipated fruit, I forgive the rain. A few years back, Cheltenham Poetry Society held a competition, and we asked U.A. Thanthorpe, who obviously was alive at the time, to be the judge, and she very kindly not only judged it, but wrote a few lines of appreciation of most of the poems that were submitted. And of mine, she said, Turner is a master of the sentence. His are long, lovely and lush, like Hopkins' weeds. So that's been a very useful quote for me over the years. And this is the poem, which predictably has very long sentences. It looks like that on the page. In other words, it has shape, a bit like Dylan Thomas's poems, with a syllable count and rhyme. But they don't notice the rhymes, hopefully, because you get what they call enjambement. Seashells. All my lovers were sailor boys, the old lady said, from Guadeloupe and Senegal, Belize and Zanzibar. And in my cool bay windowed room, on shuttered nights or curtained afternoons, the rum-stained jesters and ragged princes of sunburnt fields and forests and cassia-scented towers fed among the fallen lilies. And if they came again to me, if in their hammocks and swaying bunks their arms imagined me, if the hardened hands that had held me came with a gentle knock, they'd bring me shyly the seashells I'd begged of them, the beautiful cast-offs and cold-hearted emblems of coral beaches and rocks at the ocean's extremity. Frail figure now, and almost blind, in my mind I see, as I reach for my chair with trembling hands, Francesco's face, Carlo's lips, Stefan whispering close to me. And in my small suburban room, I hold their shells to my ears, and though names and faces and all else fades, I hear the towering, tall, wild raging rhythm of the sea. This next poem is for all those who have from time in a different culture and they've left something behind where they felt at home and they don't feel at home anymore. I was in a second-hand shop and saw one volume of what was obviously a large set of encyclopedias, and it was just Rain to Sar, R-A-Y-N, to S-A-R-R. And this poor volume was all on its own, and somewhere was a whole set of an encyclopedia with this volume missing. And I felt so sorry for this poor volume, you know, I identified with it so strongly. Rain to Sar. I saw you standing among antique jars, besides Edwardian ornaments and clocks and shelves of other fading books. Rain to Sar. You stood between the hills of Srinagar and Mrs. Beaton, and somewhere nearby, in 3 large volumes, sat the birds of Paraguay. Poor wandering Rain to Sar. Meanwhile, your former bedfellows in some far country are missing you. They mourn, yes, Aro to Zeno, long for your return. Rain to Sar. Do you remember how once you fitted in? When the whole world was a well-ordered place, with everything exactly in its space, and you had peace within. I did consider buying you. How nice to be one of those specialists, an expert on all the kings and counts called Rupert, on saints, on resin, or the robinia tree. But no, I left you standing there, exiled forever, out of place and wrong, far from the rightful place where you belong. Poor, lonely Rain to Sar. Not all my poems are very serious, some of them are quite light-hearted, and I was walking through some woods called Cranham Woods, not far from where I live, and a word came to me. The word was Janissary. Well, the Janissaries, I believe, were a crack regiment in the army of the Turks in the 16th century. I don't really know much about them, but they were a force to be reckoned with, apparently. They caused a lot of trouble within the state as well as fighting other countries. So I thought, well, not necessarily a Janissary. I think there's a line of poetry there somewhere. So this is what emerged. Not necessarily a handsome Janissary, said Celia to Delia as they sat on the divan. A blonde and bearded Viking could be also to my liking, or a curly-headed cavalier young man. I sowed out of season. The seeds scarcely grew. Seek out those seedlings today, if you can. I'm going to have to leave them to you. Something remarkable, splendid and new. I'll give you a hint of it now, if I can. That was the thing I was going to do. I'm going to have to leave it to you.